welcome to another episode of Urbanicity TV. Today we start the show with Scott Summerhay speaking with Justin Jones, the guy who is behind the initiative called Yes We Cannon that ultimately led to the bike lanes being put on Cannon Street. Let's take a look.
The Cannon two-way bike track. Let's hear it for that track.
We're here with Justin Jones, the champion, I guess, of the Yes We Cannon.
I'll say organizer.
Organizer. So first, tell us about how the Yes We Cannon campaign became a thing.
Yeah, so we were sitting in the Cannon on Ottawa Street in Cannon, and we were having a coffee, and we were watching cyclists go by, and a couple of them were riding on the sidewalk, and we thought to ourselves, they shouldn't be there. But when you look at the traffic flow patterns on Cannon Street, we said, we don't blame them. We really think that it's really important to provide people with safe infrastructure. If you build the kind of infrastructure that makes people feel safe, then they tend to use them and they stop riding on sidewalks. And so we said, well, is there interest in this? And so we started talking to people in neighborhood associations, at business improvement areas, at school groups, and they said to us in no uncertain terms, yes, there is. And so we put together a branding campaign with Julie Van Heusen and Factory Design, and we launched in May at Art Crawl, and we got 500 signatures in the first 24 hours. It went completely viral in the city, and that told us that the appetite was there, the demand is there, and we really wanted to just capitalize on that, and we wanted to make it happen. So it's been great.
Well, so this did go to City Council. You were a delegate in City Council to propose the idea. Was that before or after you got the petitions, all the signatures?
So we started the petition in May, and we brought the petition before Council on September 5th of 2013, and that was we had 2,300 signatures at the time. So Council approved it unanimously in theory. And then in March of this year of 2014, they approved it unanimously in practice and approved the funding and the final design. And so we've seen this whole thing go from idea to on the ground in really 16 months.
Well, yeah, and what you said, originally you said by 2015. We're not even there yet, and it's already complete.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, when we launched, we thought, give ourselves time to get it in the budgetary process for 2014 and start the construction and do the detailed design work, but the city noticed that they recognized that this was not something they could wait on, and they really prioritized moving this project forward. And I think that it really is a credit to how business is starting to get done a little differently at City Hall. The fact that they were able to turn it around ahead of our expectations. I mean, how often does a project ever come in like a full 8 months before an advocacy organization expected it? So it really is incredible. I mean, we're just over the moon. So
at the ribbon cutting, we had councillors Farr and Murrow. We also had the mayor, Mayor Bettina there, and Farr was saying this was such an exciting day, a big news day. Is that because this is the first protected bike lane in Ontario? Yeah, so this is
this is really something for Hamilton to stand up and celebrate. So, we're seeing two-way protected bike facilities pop up all over North America, and they really are starting to become recognized as a best practice as far as providing safe, 8 to 80 cycling infrastructure that really does work for people of all ages and abilities. I think that the traditional bike lane worked really great for a cyclist like me that's confident and enthusiastic. But for those people that don't maybe feel as comfortable out there on their bikes, or they're riding with children, or they're new bike riders, a bike lane doesn't make them feel comfortable. Something like this with protection, something that sends a very clear message that says, yes, cyclists belong, is really important. And so this is the most significant. Hamilton has the distinction of having the first protected two-way facility on-road in Ontario, and that was the King Street overpass. So we had a small section, but this is the most significant section to date, and this really positions Hamilton as a leader in cycling infrastructure in Ontario, and that's really exciting. And I think that's something for the city to stand up and crow about, because there's such renewed energy that comes to a city when you start to build these kind of infrastructure projects. They really do start to attract a talented, young, mobile professionals. So we're really excited to see it happen and to see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, well, also, as you said, this isn't the end. That you don't want people to stop here. We shouldn't just be happy with the one lane. We should always be working towards more complete streets, safer streets. What do you see maybe coming next?
So I think what really has to come next, Cannon Street is so significant because with the approval of the York Boulevard bike lanes as well, thanks to Councillor McCaddy and his great work with the participatory budgeting process there, they're going to be building buffered bike lanes on York Boulevard as well. So that connects from Sherman, you get to York, you go down Dundurn or into Burlington, you connect then to the King Street overpass, right into Westdale, through the university, on Coots Trail, all the way down into Dundas, on safe cycling infrastructure. It is a massive connection. It's really like our east-west thoroughfare across the city for active transportation. So I think what we need to focus on next is how do we funnel people that might not feel as confident riding in mixed traffic or on traditional bike lanes onto that piece of infrastructure in ways that is safe. And so I think that the next piece is really to move forward with a system of neighborhood greenways, which are infrastructure pieces that really are just about taking a neighborhood street, a residential street, and using it as a residential street again, making it as a street where pedestrians and cyclists are prioritized, where through traffic is all but eliminated, and where vehicles are moving at a pace that's slower, more human, and really allows cyclists and pedestrians to use that street safely and to have community flourish there too. So that's really the next piece, and it's a low-hanging fruit, super easy to do. We really have to see that move forward. So,
well, we just did the first ride, so it was the ribbon cutting, it was the first ride, and that was, I guess, the christening ride of it. Lots of people, were riding their bikes down there, but do we think that there's going to be that many people on a daily basis riding on these lanes?
This is going to change the way that people look at infrastructure. This is going to change the way that people look at transportation in Hamilton. And, I think that just the fact that you saw so many people there today at noon on a work day, these are people that basically took time away from their work so that they could come to celebrate lunch hour with us and christen this significant infrastructure investment with us. So, the passion is there. And I mean, even just riding on it, our group, who was an organized group, rode by probably at least a dozen cyclists that were just riding because that's how they were getting around. Yeah. And so, I think that when you build these kinds of infrastructure pieces, these kind of high visibility, high safety pieces, they really do start to attract new cyclists. And I think we're going to start seeing very significant uptake in cycling on this corridor.
Kind of the if you build it, they will come thing.
It's been proven true everywhere they've been built. I've really, I look at the trends in active transportation, and when you see a community invest in something like this, you see ridership go up from anywhere from 70 to 300% on that corridor. People start riding in droves. And, it's true everywhere they get built. There's literally not one single exception all across North America where a piece of infrastructure like this has been built where ridership hasn't significantly grown. And so if Hamilton's the exception to that rule, I'd be really surprised. But judging by the energy that was out there today, there's no way.
All right, and finally, I just want to ask, so was this was your, as you call it, your baby or your pet project? Do you have anything else coming up in the works? You're not actually a resident of Hamilton anymore at the moment, so but you do love the city. You love the project you kind of created or helped create. So do you have anything else kind of coming up that you'd like to champion?
So a lot of this is really, I said it today and I'll say it again. I was really a cog in a machine that was just powered by community passion. It was really the community that rallied behind this. This wasn't one person that did it. It was one person that ended up being the contact point for the city, because they can't talk to every one of the 2,300 people that signed it, because then it just slows the project down too much. But, they really wanted to have someone that was their point man on this, and that just happened to be me. And I'm very fortunate to have been that person. Next for Hamilton is the launch of an advocacy organization that's going to be called PATH, People for Active Transportation in Hamilton. And PATH is going to be putting together a number of initiatives that is going to make a strong voice. You know, we're going to unite the voices of the great environmental organizations around the city that are already doing good work, like Environment Hamilton and Green Venture, and then the Yes We Can group, and we're going to start talking about how we move forward as a city and how we build on this momentum and how we start to capture the imaginations of the people that not only live in Hamilton but might look at Hamilton as a place to live, work, and you know, establish their own family. So
Great. Well, thank you very much. Great talking with you.
Thank you.
Great project. You're obviously a great leader. So I look forward to seeing you more in Hamilton, and I
Gotcha.
look forward to riding the trail.
there you go. All right, thanks.
Since the Cannon Street bike lanes are now open, we decided to do a little bit of a ride-along tour of the bike lanes with the editor of Raise the Hammer, Ryan McGreal.
We're here at rush hour, right at James and Cannon. This is basically the busiest stretch of the entire length of Cannon. We have 3 lanes during rush hour. We actually have more than enough lane capacity even still right now on Cannon Street. You can see we've been here talking, traffic is flowing smoothly, there's no gridlock, there's no big backups. So I think that's a non-issue. You know, this Cannon is still plenty friendly for cars. In fact, I would argue that it's actually friendlier for cars now because as a driver, you can now drive at a safe, reasonable speed. You don't feel pressure to go at 60, 70 kilometers an hour anymore. It's the first protected two-way cycle track in Ontario, actually, not just Hamilton. And so, even though they have these working in lots of other jurisdictions, people living in Hamilton had never seen one before. And I think one of the reasons why there wasn't more opposition to this is that everybody recognized that Cannon was a terrible, terrible street before. So there wasn't really a lot of opposition to it from kind of the places where you expect to find a lot of opposition. I mean, nothing like the opposition to the bus lane on King, where people were complaining about it before it even opened. We'll get to see it run for a while. We'll watch ridership gradually and steadily increase as people learn about it, as people see other people riding bikes and think, oh, maybe I could ride a bike too. That's how it happens. It's sort of an organic, iterative process. As the number of people who experience it directly go up, I think it'll become more popular and people will start asking for cycle tracks in more areas. This provides a dedicated space for cyclists, so as a driver, you know they're over there, you're in your lane, they're in their lane, everybody has a place to be and you're not conflicting with each other anymore. I was uncomfortable riding my bike on Cannon when it didn't have a cycle track. I never felt uncomfortable riding on James because the traffic was moving slowly enough that there weren't cars passing me 50 kilometers an hour faster than I was going. James doesn't have any dedicated cycling infrastructure. One possible way might be to remove curbside parking on one side and put a cycle track in. In addition to making it possible to ride a bike to school, it's also made it a lot easier for kids to walk to school if they're closer distance, because the bike lane itself provides a physical space barrier between the sidewalk and the street. When you get east of Victoria, it's mostly residential. But I do think we'll start to see, gradually over time, we'll see a transition of Cannon as slowly it starts to become more urbanized, and it'll probably start at James and then kind of work its way east. You're actually already seeing it now. We're here at Cannon and James is essentially wrapped around, and there's 3 more James North style retail businesses that are on Cannon.
Eating the lumberjack from Gorilla Cheese. It's delicious. Every time I come to something like this, I always go for Gorilla Cheese because it's just so good.
All the food here is really good. Delicious. Perfectly cooked. Yeah, spicy. Yeah, really good. Really fresh.
Today I got the lumberjack. I've had the hammer before and it was really good, so I mixed it up today. It's got some bacon on there, some aged cheddar, and then I believe they do like a maple syrup to kind of crisp it up, so really, really good. The other day I tried Dirty South. They came in when we were on location down here and gave us like some chicken and waffles. It was like a sandwich that they concocted and it was unbelievable.
I love it. Every time I see it, I'm first in line. I've tried a few of them, like grilled cheese is really good, but you know what? As much as I am willing to try other food trucks, what I know of what I like. So
It's been busy, and I think the weather has made it a little less busy than we would have hoped for, but it's been fun. Like, as far as different events we've done, this has been one of the most fun ones. We were gonna buy a food truck next year, but then we had a chance to rent a cart through Room Commissary, and weather can really kill you for the day. Earlier today, the grill on our cart, actually, the connections melted, so we couldn't cook anything, but luckily Susan from Route Commissary, that was where we work in Brentford Journey South, he was there. He was able to bring us over this extra grill within like 10 minutes, so we kind of saved our day.
We're having a lot of trouble in Toronto right now as far as bylaws go, and it's really refreshing to be able to come here and be able to actually like serve public for long periods of time. We're famous for our smoked meat sandwiches. They're the best in Ontario. I like to think Canada.
I'm a little vegetarian biased, but best tacos in town for sure. These are jerk Jamaican taquitos, I think. Highly recommended.
Thanks for joining us on Urbanicity TV. We hope you'll join us again next week for a brand new episode. Until then, I'm your host, Martina Scalenzi. Have a good night.